Hey everybody, welcome back. It's me, Tyler here again, talking to you guys about some stocks. So I just want to recap what happened in the market today, keep all you guys updated on what's going on in my portfolio and why things are going up or down, so we can help predict what's going to happen in the future. And I'll try to do this every day after the stock market closes, and I'll try to get another video up pre-market in the morning for my picks for the day or what to watch at least. So if you're just looking to start that day, you at least have some ground points to base your research off of, or some things I think are good to look at a minimum, so you're not just the day you decide to start investing going in completely overwhelmed or just randomly throwing a dart, right? So we're going to start off today. Today was a pretty decent day for my portfolio. It's been about average day for me. I made about $201 at market close, which is about 0.6% gain on my account. Now I'm going to individually go through each stock in my portfolio, how it did and why it did what it did. At least why I think it did what it did, right? And whether I think it's a buy, hold, or sell right now currently. So the first and biggest, so these stocks are in order of my position in it per my portfolio. So the first stock I'm going to talk about is my largest holding, and the last stock we're going to talk about is going to be my smallest holding per percentage base of the portfolio. So the first one I'm going to talk about is AMD. I closed at about minus 0.94%, almost a full percent today. It's just a profit pullback. If you look at the chart for AMD, when I get back to my actual house and I'm not in this hotel, I'll be able to give you guys the screen graphics so you can see these price charts with me. AMD, it's just a profit pullback. If you look at its chart, it's up something crazy like 60-70% over these last month and a half. It had a 8.5% jump yesterday. So this 1% pullback is people just selling and taking their profits. There's no negative news. The value of this company hasn't changed. I recommend buying a small portion of AMD right now because I do still think it is a little overvalued. But I don't want, if you're looking at investing in AMD, I don't think it's worth trying to time a dip right now. I think long term, this company continues to take more and more market share from Intel. It's creeping up on NVIDIA. Next-gen consoles are using the AMD processors with the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox One Series X coming out this holiday season. I think that'll help it out a lot. And the big news that came out that pushed the stock up another 8% yesterday was it's taking more and more market share from data servers. AMD's breaking into that market. So that's what happened with that one today. Microsoft's down 0.28%, which is it's nothing. There's no negative news, but some positive news that came out today out of Microsoft is that they're going to be releasing their Surface Duo Android phone, priced at I think it was $13.99 or $12.99 per unit. So I am. This is either going to go really good or really bad, right? Either this product's going to launch and it'll hopefully take some market share from Apple and other big giants in the phone industry, right? And if it does, that's incredible for Microsoft, right? If not, I don't really think it hurts Microsoft that much. The Microsoft phones are a very small portion of Microsoft business, but obviously a huge potential for upside there. Microsoft stock is currently right above the $200 per share price. But I still think long-term this is a great value pick, and I highly recommend people getting into Microsoft, especially before this Microsoft Duo Android phone comes out. Just because if it does happen to be successful and the marketing for it goes well, it could stand to grow the stock quite a bit. So, and plus you got the next-gen consoles coming out. Not that it matters too much, but just so you guys stay up to date and aware if you're not taking all this information by yourself. A big hit about the next-gen consoles is Microsoft's first-party huge title that was going to sell their new Xbox was Halo Infinite, and it has been delayed from the launch title of launching with the Xbox, the new Xbox, until 2021. So I think that's going to hurt their sales this holiday season. I haven't looked exactly at what their forecasted revenue was, but I can almost guarantee that that game being delayed, the Halo being delayed, is going to short term affect their sales of the console. I think when the game finally comes out in 2021, sales will spike back up. So if you're a contrarian, or if you see the big brain play there, you might wait until this holiday season, see if Microsoft takes a beating on the revenue, on failing to hit projection, and then buying it up there. But again, Microsoft's such a big company. It's more than just Xbox. It's more than just the phone. They do a lot of cloud computing based. They've got the Microsoft Teams services. It's a huge company. It casts a wide net. So I don't think any one of these services is going to drive the stock down too much, but I think all of them have great potential for upside. I love Microsoft. It's like I said, the second most percentage of my portfolio. I think it's a great stock, and I think people should get into it for the long term. Next, I want to talk about Nike. Not a lot going on with Nike today. It went up 1.29% as market close. Not a whole lot going on. Their PR exec stepped down, or HR, sorry. But nothing really going on there. I think Nike will bounce back post-COVID. But not a whole lot to talk about there. Not a whole lot of news going on driving that stock up or down. If you haven't seen the ad that they created with the whole two sides, and as it happens over here, it moves into over here. It's a really cool ad. I highly recommend watching that. That was actually really cool, and I wanted to know how they filmed that, so I watched a little video on all the stuff they did. So yeah, that was a pretty cool watch. Next one's Disney. They're down negative 0.64% on the day. Not a huge swing. A little bit of negative news was the Actors Equity Union. They were really upset with Disney for not coming forward with a plan for testing performers and actors for their gigs at Disney Studios or Disney World. But they reached an agreement today. So I was kind of expecting the stock to swing up about a half a percent from that positive news. But Disney, again, one of my biggest holdings. It's about 12% of my portfolio. I highly recommend buying it long term. And it's tough to beat, especially with Disney Plus reaching 2016's Netflix subscriber level already. I don't have the exact number off the top of my head right now, so I don't want to give you false information. So I recommend Googling it and checking. But I believe they just broke 100 million subscribers on Disney Plus and the ESPN and Hulu family altogether. Because if you didn't know, Disney owns Hulu, ESPN, Fox. They also cast a huge net. It's more than just the Disney movies and the theme parks that you grew up with as a child and stuff like that. So highly recommend Disney long term. Next one. Now these next two stocks I'm going to talk about are both cannabis or marijuana pot stocks is usually how I refer to them. And they're kind of my insurance net. And what I mean by that, I'm not going to get into politics here. I don't really like talking about politics. It's usually a very heated discussion for a lot of people. I'm not going to disclose my views either way. But it's kind of with Republican leadership, they're usually way more capitalistic in the way they run the economy. And it helps a lot of my portfolio grow. But I foresee if a Democrat or a blue, as though for them, gets elected, I think the chances for marijuana legalization skyrockets compared to a Republican leader. So about 10% of my portfolio between both of these two stocks, so about 5% each, becomes pot stocks. And it's, like I said, it's my insurance policy against a Democrat becoming president. So that would be Joe Biden, and hopefully if he did, he would legalize marijuana. And hopefully if whoever gets elected, hopefully they legalize marijuana, and so I can make a lot of money, right? And hopefully you guys can too. But I'll talk a little bit about the two that I'm invested in majorly. The first one's Kronos Group. The ticker symbol for that is CRON. Now, this one's taken a pretty big beating lately. It's the only stock I've lost over $1,000 in the last 2 years, and these two pot stocks are the only stocks I'm down over since, from the time that I've invested. They're the only two that are currently at a loss right now. Kronos, what makes it special is they specialize in vape weed. They're trying to make marijuana or CBD oils for vaping. And I don't vape myself, but I know it's very popular among people in my generation, and it's seen as like a healthy alternative to smoking. They've had a lot of problems with getting this vape to get like health approved through trials and everything. I think if it does and marijuana becomes legal, regardless, even if they get approved or not, I think if marijuana becomes legal, the stock goes up, right? Just the value of the company grows when the market expands, right? Because then the percentage of market share, even if it stays the same, has now grown, right? Because 10% of 100 is 10, but 10% of 1,000 is 100, right? So they grow if the market grows. So that's what I'm counting on there. The next pod stock I want to talk about is Canopy Growth Corporation, CGC ticker symbol. So they just reported earnings. It wasn't terrible, not great either though. But the big thing about Canopy and what keeps me invested in them is they have the capital to withstand and stay together until marijuana gets legalized. They have a huge investor in Constellation Brands beverages, and they have partnered and they're trying to produce new edibles and new drinks, mixing alcohol and marijuana, CBD, whatever you want to call it, and producing new ways to ingest marijuana, and they're kind of innovating and cornering that share of that market. So that's kind of a bet for me. But investing in any cannabis stock, I think, is incredibly risky. I hold no shares of this company I'm going to talk about right now, but since we're on the topic of pot stocks, I recommend looking at Aphria, Aphiria. They've done incredibly well lately, way better on a like percentage base than any other pot stock. Highly recommend looking at them if you're interested in pot stocks. If you have any questions about them, I've done a lot of research on them. Send me a message. Talk to me in the comments below. Let me know. The next thing in my portfolio today was Workhorse Group. I've talked about Workhorse before, but just in case you haven't seen the previous videos, just to keep you up to date, the only reason I'm invested in Workhorse is because they are one of 3 companies left in a bid for a $6.3 billion contract with the United States Postal Service to create their delivery trucks. I'm basically rolling the dice and hoping that Workhorse gets that bid, which would skyrocket their company. Just to let you guys know, it's more than a little bit of a dice roll. I don't want to undersell it and treat it like it's gambling, right? But the concept for Workhorse winning that bid, just so you know, the other 3 companies are Ford, Curzon, and Oshkosh. Ford is partnering with, I believe, Oshkosh, and so that's why there's only 3 left, not 4. Mahindra just dropped out. That was the 4th one. And the reason I'm not betting on Ford and Oshkosh teaming together, and the reason I'm not betting on Curzon is the following, right? So Ford is bidding on a just gas combustible vehicle, not environmental friendly, not electric. And Curzon is Turkish based. They do have an American headquarters in Michigan, I believe, but they're a Turkish company. And I think the United States Postal Service is looking for American-made, environmental-friendly electric vehicles. So Workhorse is the only one that fits that criteria that's left in the bid. I think they've got a strong chance of getting that bid, and that's why I'm betting on them. The next one I want to talk about, and the one that basically made me all my earnings in my portfolio today, is AMC Entertainment. I talked about them in yesterday's video about how I loved AMC. They're a little risky, though, because the potential for bankruptcy. And I want to talk about what happened today with them. They went up 14.8%, which is huge. And it's a lot of it was the good news of them announcing that they're celebrating 100 years of being in business, and they're selling movie tickets at 15 cents per ticket. So that good news and those good vibes rallied the stock up. But I want to be clear, that doesn't add value to the company. Selling really cheap movie tickets, you can look at it 2 ways. You can say it's hurting revenues and profits on the tickets just to try to get people into the door for the scare of COVID, or you can look at the other side of the coin and saying it's getting people out that wouldn't normally go out to go see a movie, and they're going to spend that extra money on the concessions, the popcorn, the candy, the drinks, whatever, right? And that AMC is still going to make money. But in my opinion, I don't think selling tickets at a cheaper price adds any sort of value to the company and what it's at. I think this 14.8% jump today will pull back. For AMC, I recommend waiting for a dip of about 10% since it went up about 14 today. I recommend waiting. Let me double check what the stock price is at right now. I've got it pulled up right here. It's currently at $5.31. I recommend waiting till it drops back below that $5 mark and then buying in, because I do think this is a long-term winner. I think AMC will rise back to that $15 a share that we saw pre-COVID. Next one, MGM. I talked again about them in the last video. They're up 1.14% today, and a lot of that just has to do with what I talked to you guys about, the Interactive Corp investing about $1 billion in them. And that's just really helped rally them in the short term, but I still think there's a lot of money and progress to be made long term with MGM. Next one is Lemonade, ticker symbol LMND. I've talked about them in the first video, but if you guys haven't seen it, they're a disruptor in the health insurance, pet insurance, any type of insurance you can think of market. They are offered in about 27 states right now, so they still have a lot of room to grow. I believe in them long term, mostly because they're targeting millennials and Gen Z for health insurance. So it'll take them a while to grow as our generation transitions more into purchasing life insurance, health insurance, etc. But their business model is great. Their advertising is great. If you want to look at it for yourself, I recommend just going to the website and trying to get a quote, seeing how quick and easy it is and user-friendly it is. I think the stock has a lot of room to grow. It's down 2.4% today. No negative news or anything driving it down. I think it's still just looking for a level of value to hold certainty because it's so new to the market and it really hasn't found a stable level. It's kind of been floating between $59 and $67, but it hasn't really found a solid footing to hold ground and then push forward. So I recommend putting a small position in Lemonade just to have it on your chart and look at any dips and gains and slowly add a position to it over time. Another big one today, I say big, is I think the second biggest jump today was PG&E. Talked about them yesterday as well. They jumped 3.88%. And a lot of that's just on the good news that they created a new website and new resources. I got it written down right here. The Safety Action Center. It's a website and resources for the people in Northern California that they serve that helps them for disaster preparedness, helps them if PG&E is going to shut off their power to prevent fires during storms. It reached 1 million users today of individual different users showing up to the website on for PG&E. And that just showed a lot of interest. It shows that company is making a lot of progress towards getting back that consumer trust from all the wildfires that they started and made them bankrupt not too long ago. So it was a lot of good news, and it drove the stock price up. I think it adds value to the company. I think PG&E is a great buy long term. I think we'll get back up to that $19 high sooner rather than later. So I really like that pick. Last couple of stocks I'm going to get through because this video is getting kind of long. But they're the smallest 3 positions in my portfolio. Cinemark, it went up 2.7% today. And I think a lot of that, there was no news specifically towards Cinemark. I think a lot of this is just due to the good news of AMC and how much AMC rose. So I think the whole theater sector just kind of popped up a little bit. I think Cinemark is same reasons I talked about AMC. I think it's a great hold long term just for the post-COVID rebound. Carnival Corporation Cruise Lines. This is a small position. It's only about 4% of my portfolio. I love it long term. But if you guys are looking at cruise line stocks right now, I highly suggest waiting. A lot of these just keep getting bad news. Carnival rose 0.4% today, but it just announced more cruise cancellations, further delays until they're going to get more of their fleet active. A while back, I want to say a week or two ago, they had to sell 4 or 5 more ships / decom them. Their fleet's getting smaller, but I still like the stock long term. If for anyone looking at Carnival or Norwegian Cruises or Royal Caribbean, any of those cruise line stocks, I recommend trying to probably wait another week or two for a dip in these stocks, then putting a small position in and slowly increasing it as things get back to normal, and hopefully you can catch a long ride up on these stocks, because cruises are going to come back, right? We're not going to live in a world without cruises. And I think Carnival's got the cash balance to stay afloat in this time where they're losing revenue. So that's why I'm betting on them, and I think it's a great hold long term. Last company I have in my portfolio, and the smallest position I have is Starbucks. They went down about 0.4% today, and there's no real reason. There's no negative news. It's just kind of pulling back. It's been on a little bit of a tear lately. I think it went up about 3 or 4% in the following week. So just pulling back, people taking their profits. So that's everything in my portfolio. Again, my portfolio closed at an increase of $201.04 today. So that's just one of my stock portfolios. The others are ETFs and IRAs, 401ks, stuff like that, not just individual stocks. And if you guys want to see me do a video on ETFs, IRAs, 401ks, if you guys have any questions about that, let me know. I'd be happy to do a video explaining a lot of that for you guys and what the best indexes are to invest in for those. I'm very familiar with 401ks for your employer or work. I help manage my mom's, and I've gotten her a return of 38% over 3 years, which isn't outstanding. It's not what mine is, right? But when you're talking about, my mom, who is a generation above me, a lot closer to retirement than me, I do recommend a safer investment portfolio, right? So as young as I am, I'm 25. My investment tolerance and risk tolerance is I can be a lot riskier because I can afford to dip and catch the rise, right? I've got time till I retire. But if there are some of you that are older out there, some of these stock picks I'm talking about, they're not for you unless you are very risk tolerant and you have the capital to back it up. But yeah, so if you guys want to see me talk about any other stocks or different things, let me know. Drop a like, hit the subscribe button. Thanks for sticking around and watching if you watch the whole thing. I know I'm long-winded about a lot of this stuff, but I just want to make sure you guys have the information that I have, and you can make as good decisions as I'm making. Just for reference, in the past quarter, so the last 3 months, my portfolio is up $9,253.53 for a 53% return on investment in the last 3 months. So hopefully we can continue that for the rest of the year, right? But let me know how you guys are doing, what your stock picks are, what your strategies are. If you have any questions, hit me up. But that's going to do it for this aftermarket video for August 13th. And I'll try to get a pre-market video up for the 14th tomorrow morning. Thanks for watching, and good luck out there.